Yes, absolutely appreciate it. It's much appreciated. You ready? Okay. Apologies. Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Sparta Township Planning Board. Thank you for those joining us here and online. For the record, this meeting is being held on May 6, 2026 at 7:18 p.m. in the Sparta Township Municipal Building located at 65 Main Street, Sparta, New Jersey. And the live stream can be viewed on YouTube at www.youtube.com/@SpartaTWP. Please note that adequate public notice of this meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act. No new business will be conducted after 9:30 p.m., and the meeting will end promptly at 10. Let us begin with a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Harry, would you mind calling the roll? Wait, she's calling the roll. Here, I can't hear you. Sorry. Sorry.
Michael Wallace. Deputy Mayor Sylvester. Ron Day.
Here.
Christine Dunbar.
Here.
Joan Furman.
Here.
Ernie Ragsdad.
Here.
Vice Chairwoman Jeanette Burke.
Here.
Brian Zimmerman.
Here.
Birgit Bogler.
Here.
Chairwoman Luciano.
Here. Okay. Sorry, Carrie, I couldn't hear you.
Sorry.
I didn't mean to look at you like a deer in the headlights. I just couldn't hear you. you. So we are opening up the meeting with the approval of minutes for April 1st, 2026. Eligible to vote are Birgit Bogler, excuse me, Jeanette Burke, Ron Day, Chris Dunbar, Joan Furman, myself, Christine Quinn, Ernie Ragsdad, Mike Sylvester, Mike Wallace, both are not here, and Brian Zimmerman. I will put it up to the dais. Does anyone have any questions or comments with regard to these minutes? And Ron, yes, we do know that there is an amendment. If you'd like to read it into the record.
Sure. So on page 4, right before the second to last paragraph, and this is where we were talking about the capital improvement plan, and whether or not we want to see it. And I want on the record, just to show there was a conversation, both a full agreement, that Ron Day stated his opinion that it was not the responsibility of the planning board to review the capital improvement plan unless requested by the town council or required for other reasons. The rationale given was that the approval of the capital improvement plan is a town council responsibility. It would cost unnecessary money to have our professionals review it, and any review could take up time and money better spent reviewing any potential pending applications. Mr. Poro suggested that if there are any specific projects that we would like to see or recommendations that we'd like to make, such as a sewer line or a transfer station, then we should consider making that recommendation to the town council for consideration as a future capital improvement.
Does anyone else have any comments or questions regarding these minutes?
Madam Chair, I have to recuse myself from approval of these because I was not in attendance on April 1st.
Ah, okay. So let the record show that the agenda that stated that Chris Quinn was eligible to vote she is not eligible to vote.
And then also on page 4, just a minor thing. It says Joan Furman stated all of this is on a list for discussion during the summer. It's not this upcoming summer. It was, we were supposed to review it over the summer, and it was going to be on a list for discussion in September.
I just have one minor correction. It's on the bottom of page 1. At the end of the last full paragraph, it says, Ms. Bogler also provided data remove from living wage. So it should read, Ms. Bogler also provided data on the cost of living in New Jersey as it relates to the regional income limits prepared by the Affordable Housing Professionals of, not on, New Jersey, and affordable housing professionals should all be capitalized, please.
So you're taking out from living wage?
Correct.
Okay.
Chair, I just have a recommendation around the minutes. So at the past couple meetings that we had, we spent a lot of time updating the minutes on the fly, kind of at the meetings. But when we have applications and professionals and things like that that we're paying, maybe we could put or look at putting a process in place that says if anyone has updates to the minutes, that they go to the board secretary, I don't know, X amount of days before, so that a final copy can be kind of put together. I'm just throwing it out there, food for thought, maybe for another day, but just to, so that we're minimizing the cost of, with professionals and applicants and things like that.
Understood. So Carrie, I'm assuming that we can discuss putting a process in place of getting minutes out earlier to board members so that they can opine on, so we'll work together on that.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, any other questions or comments regarding minutes? Okay, I am seeking a motion to approve minutes as amended.
So moved. Ron Day?
I'll second.
Who's the second?
Joan?
Thank you. 1 second. Christine Quinn,
I can't vote.
abstain.
Right.
Not abstain, she can't vote.
No, she can't vote, she wasn't here.
Ron Day,
Yes.
Christine Dunbar,
Yes.
Joan Furman,
Yes.
Bernie Ragsdale,
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Burke,
Yes.
Brian Zimmerman,
Yes.
Birgit Bogler.
Yes.
Chairwoman Luciano.
Yes. Okay, so approval of minutes. Moving into public hearings, PB number 26739, Nicolak Paving Stones LLC, 482 Houses Corner.
Just quickly, I did speak to Mr. Zimmerman. He does have a conflict in this matter that his business does work with Nikolai. He did say nice things about the applicant stuff.
Bye, Brian.
Good night, Brian. And that's Houses Corner Road, Block 16005, Lot 16, PRM 1 zone, amended site plan with variances, which has been carried to this particular meeting.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Michael Salvaggi from Lavery Salvaggi in Cohen on behalf of the applicant. The chair has correctly identified the lot and block. This is a 54-acre tract of land on Houses Corner Road. The applicant did appear in front of you in 2022 and secured a site plan approval, which in some substance, it allowed for the construction of a new building, a 1,116 square foot addition to an existing building, and the construction of 3 silos used for dust containment. They secured the approval, they got the building permits, and through the course of construction, changes became necessary, and the construction is done. Temporary TCOs have been issued. However, because of the nature of the changes, we were asked to come back here to amend the site plan so it's consistent with what's actually going on at the property. You'll hear in a minute, most of the changes are nominal, and some of them are generated by OSHA requirements and pollution or dust control requirements as well. So what I'd like to do, Madam Chair, is have Owen Dykstra first lead off. He'll kind of run through what was originally approved and what's out there and what the changes were, and then we'll move into testimony from the applicant's representative, and then we'll have our planner kind of wrap everything up at the end. So if Owen can be sworn, that'd be great.
I swear to tell the truth, all the truth, and nothing but the truth, so be God.
I do.
Mr. Vice Chair, I've been accepted as an expert in civil engineering in the past, and I believe surveying also. Civil's enough. Civil's enough. Oh, yeah. No, that's enough.
And your license is still current from last time you were here, right?
That's correct.
All right, cool. So Owen, yeah.
Chair, accept Owen as an expert.
Yes, I do.
Civil. Thank you.
So Owen, you were here in 2022. why don't we just kind of summarize what was approved and then, what's out there now on the property?
Sure. In 2022, we were here for a 32,500 square foot.
Mr. Dykstra, I'm so sorry. Can you use the mic?
Oh, yeah. I hate these things. I need one that's like. So we were here and we got it approved, a facility for a 32,500 square foot building. The dimensions that 32.5 were actually 33 because we had not calculated part of the building. So the actual physical dimensions of the building were 33,000, but on our plan it said 32.5. So we're back asking for 33. So that's one thing that's changing. So at that time, we got an approval. This building was not replacing, it was replacing a plant on site to do the walls, paper walls? Yeah, the wall plants. And the original wall plant was used for storage now. So I'll go through kind of what happened there. Along with that, a number of improvements to the site. We had all our outdoor storage approved. The facility had significant drainage improvements and the like. And if you've been out there, the new building's beautiful. So I'm going to start with, this is page 2 of 4 of our plans. The only thing different is I turned some colors on so you can see it from a distance.
Mr. Ford, you want that marked since it is different than what was submitted?
A1 is good. Owen, however you want it. A1 good?
A1 fine.
Do you want me to mark up this for you? And then you
sheet
can
two.
take it?
Yeah, this is sheet 2 of 4. It's called the site plan, overall site plan, sheet 2 of 4. It's dated January 9th, 2026. There's no revisions other than the color I put on it today. So existing site is tax lot 5, block 16.05. It's a 54-acre site located on Houses Corner Road. It's the bulk of the facility, the industrial portion of the facility is all in the northwesterly corner of the site. Primarily the easterly side is more or less open space. There's a solar field in the front that powers some of the site. And there's an access kind of in the middle of the frontage off Houses Corner Road where all of the vehicles enter and exit this site. That entrance is a shared access with the neighboring property to the north, which is a recycling facility. So I know in your ordinance now, they added that there's no left turns allowed, and that was requested, but we don't really have the right to shut off someone's left turn, so we're going to ask for a waiver for that. So I'll run through around the rest of the property. To the northwest is the New York Susquehanna Railroad, and then to the south is the Michelati property, the quarry and sand gravel pit that's been ongoing forever. So the property is located in the PRDM1, Planned Development Resource Management 1, it's a planned economic development, and the use is allowed, permitted. The current site was approved over numerous years. I believe it started in the 70s originally, and slowly on it's developed into this. The Grinnells had their facility there for years. Nicolak purchased it from them, and they've been upgrading the site. Just along the frontage, it's more or less pasture with the solar field. So visually from the street, you have very little visibility of this site. I tried to drive around today to see where you could see into it, just to get a handle on that, and it's very difficult. The only place I could see into the facility with any was from Park Lake Road, which is the opposite side of the railroad tracks. It's an industrial site over there as well. As far as there's an existing pond located on the easterly side, and there's the settling pond from the original, used to be a sand plant here as well. And that is where all the stormwater from all of this facility goes now. The facility is comprised of 7 buildings, correct myself. Building 1 is the administrative office complex. It's occupied by Nicolak and Hammer and Steel. That's building 1. It's, as you enter the site, it's the first building you come to. It's basically the office building for the whole facility. Building 2 is to the west of that building. It's a maintenance building that is occupied by Hammer and Steel and Nicolak, about 2/3, 1/3. The remainder of the buildings are all Nicolak now. Building 3 is plant number 1. That creates the paver blocks. So that's what's coming out of that facility. That facility had an approval associated with the last approval for about 1,000 square foot addition. They still intend on putting that on. It just has not happened yet. So we'd like to continue that with this approval. Building 4 is the former paving stone plant. That's just below building 3. That's what building 7 has now replaced. All of these structures conform with all of the bulk requirements. So I just wanted to make sure. So those ones have no variances associated with them. Building 5 is the wet cast facility. It's immediately to the right of the, or to the north of the office building. That has a non-conforming rear yard setback. It's a pre-existing condition. 100 feet is required and 56 is what's existing. Building 6 is the northerlymost building. That one also has a pre-existing nonconformity on the rear yard of 63.5 feet. Building 7 is the new plant, the 33,000 square foot plant I mentioned at the beginning. And that's really the focus of this hearing. The total floor area of all of the spaces, all of the buildings, is 123,000 square feet. This would require, by code, at 1 per 500, 246 parking stalls per ordinance. We had gotten a waiver to provide 116 parking stalls when we were here last time. 54 of them, I believe, were constructed and the remainder were banked. We've changed that a little bit. We have 59 now located in front of the administrative building that are constructed. And we have 14 spaces that are around building 7. And then the 51 banked spaces remain. Those are in the gravel area adjacent to the existing parking area. 4 of the spaces are proposed to be EV ready, and we have 3 ADA compliant spaces, which is compliant with the requirements for having 73 physical spaces. If in the future the banked parking gets built, we'll have to add additional ADA spaces. Currently, Nicolak has 30 employees on site, and Hammer and Steel has 12, so a total of 42 employees. I actually visited the site this morning just to count cars and see what the reality was. There were 19 cars in the main parking lot. There were 7 cars at Building 7, and there was 4 cars just kind of randomly throughout the site. So it added up to 30 cars total on site. So we're very confident that the 73 physical stalls we have is appropriate for this facility. So we'd request that waiver that was granted prior to be changed to a total of 24 approved stalls, 73 constructed, and 51 banked. Yes, we're requesting 73 constructed stalls, 51 banked stalls for a total of 124 stalls. Any questions before I go to the next page?
And I think it's just because I'm not hearing. Building number 7 is Nicolak, or is that a shared building?
Building 7 is Nicolak. The only,
Nicolak only.
yes, the only building 1 and 2 are shared.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
And when you expanded to the greater square footage for the building, did that change the impervious coverage? Obviously, it did, but what
It
is
didn't because the building was just miscalculated. The physical calculation of the building was 33,000, but it was written 32.5.
So you were approved for 33,000?
We were approved for 32.5, but the physical, when you calculated the impervious, because it was drawn at 33,000, was So it didn't change the impervious.
Building that we see here on A1 dimensionally is no different than what you presented in 2022.
Exactly. It's 330 feet by 100 feet.
So is exterior measurements versus interior, just?
I think at the time we were looking at taking out the office space of 500 square feet, and it just got never got added back in, and the office space went away, so it changed. Okay. I'll move on. This is similar to sheet 2. This is sheet 3 of the site plan set. Also, I've added some color just to make it more obvious what's going on.
Mark that A2.
Okay. This sheet is created based on the as-built conditions that are out there today. So with regard to the building itself, it meets all of the setback requirements. So the building is 100% compliant. The building is 40 feet tall, just under 40 feet, and that is based on the way the municipality requires you to calculate height by the average of all the space in the building. However, the ordinance has changed, and now the ordinance is 35 feet, so that 40-foot would be a pre-existing nonconformity at this point in time.
Well, since you colored that in, why don't we call that A2?
I did.
Oh,
Okay, so you don't want these, you don't need these, you're gonna take his blueprints?
His will be the record, yeah.
Okay, so I can close these.
Yes.
Okay, you're welcome.
So there's 4 accessory structures associated with this building. One of them is a conveyor, which brings the material into the building, and 3 are the silos, which store the materials for making the paving blocks or paving walls. So of the 3 silos, they're numbered 1, 2, 3 as you go to the north. To the north. The first one has a height of I'm going to do rear yard setback first, because when we had originally set them, we had them closer to the building, and one of them actually got a little larger, so they violated the rear yard setback. So originally they were 100 feet off the setback, but now they are, silo 1 is 96.6 feet off of the setback. Silo 2 is 98.7 feet, and silo 3 is 98.5 feet. So each of them require a rear yard variance for the accessory structure. What's interesting in this setback, it's a very uniquely shaped property, so you have a lot of rear yards. Whether it's a rear yard or a side yard, but we erred on the side of caution that it's a rear yard. And also, it's adjacent to the railroad, so the nearest property that could be built on is 220 feet away. So from a visual perspective, from anybody who could build another building, or it's not really impactful. There's also, with regard to height, that's the other situation that occurred with these silos. There's equipment that's on top of the silos for dust control and also rails for safety. Those take up less than 10% of the area, so they would qualify, in my opinion, as an exception. So they would not count towards the height. Excluding them, the silos, we were allowed to go to 45 feet in the original approval. The silos now, silo 1 is 44.15 feet, silo 2 is 45.11 feet, and silo 3 is 48.16 feet. So
Can you repeat that? 44?
0.15, 45.11, and 48.16.
Before you continue, I just want to note that in my letter, out of an abundance of caution, I noted that the height deviation could potentially be a D6 variance, but since we are at the planning board and these historically have been viewed as accessory structures, I think we can continue to look at them as accessory structures and would not require that. So just to clarify that from my letter, so there's no confusion.
Thank
I
you.
would agree with that from a
Yeah.
legal perspective. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
So that creates a height variance for silos 2 and 3.
Can you just clarify then the railing, how tall that is? Because in the report, it did say something about 58 53 feet for the third one,
For the third one. the 50
48, so it was 48.08, 49.94, and 53.0 feet on page 2 of Dave's report.
Yeah, those were to the top of the equipment. So there's a dust control on top of the structure, and
But
there's,
what is it? Is it just a railing? Because you said
there's a railing around the perimeter and then a dust feature that sticks out of the top. So it's,
Can you explain a dust feature?
I can show you a picture. Yeah, not a very good picture, but Exhibit A3 is some photos I took. When you look at the silos, there's these small, they're like little stacks on top that control dust. Just because it's taken at an angle, it's hard to see it, but they stick out of the top. They're like a small box, but they're basically like a method to make sure no dust comes off of these things. 'Cause
And you
there's-
did not anticipate that when you originally came to the planning board?
We did not have them on there, correct?
But you didn't anticipate that you would need them?
I did not.
Is that one of the OSHA things you were talking about, or?
This was a DEP requirement.
Railing is OSHA.
Railings are OSHA, correct. But they should be, because they're less than 10% and less than 10 feet above, they fall under the exceptions, at least that's my opinion. Okay.
While we're on A3, why don't we just?
Oh, I'll go through it because I gave it, these two first pictures, one is of the stacks. That was kind of the best shot I could get on the site of them. So I took that, was from the corner of the parking area. This is all porous pavers, which is what we did in order to manage the stormwater. So it's very unique. They make them, so it's kind of a test product for them as well. So, and it's working out really well. So those are the three stacks that we're talking about. This is the conveyor on the upper right corner to show you what it looks like. And then this was the picture from the only place I could really see when I drove all the way around everywhere. The only other place you could see it like way in the distance was off this bridge on 15, but that's a long ways away. So this was from Aaron Way, North Park Lake Road, where that intersection.
White Lake.
It's off White Lake. It's that industrial park. And then this was when I went to North Village. I tried to see if I could see it from any of the houses, because there's a residential development back there. And that's the silos are in building is that little. So it was almost impossible to find a spot. I wanted to show you visually how because impacts are important when you're granting variances. So I'll go through the conveyor. Oops. The way the aggregate goes into the facility is there's, to the east of the building, there's all these storage areas where different types of material. A loader will load it into this hopper. The hopper drops it onto this conveyor. And the conveyor comes to the south, makes a 90-degree turn, comes all the way to the other side of the building, and enters the building here where all the raw materials are put together. It runs through the processing, and the paving block comes out the other side. So initially, we had this designed where it would drop into here, it would come to here, it would go into the building, and then it would run through the building along the ceiling, basically. But then they met with OSHA and their safety people, and they did not want to see it inside the building. So that's when they relocated it outside the building. But they weren't aware that that created a variance, and that's why we're back. So originally, the building's 50 feet off the property line. The conveyor now, at its closest point, is 38.5 feet. There's a 50-foot setback requirement, so it's a variance. The other thing in Mr. Simmons' report was one of the pipes, storm pipes, was undersized at 10 inches. That's the one here located on the easterly side of the building. I believe that was done because they had pipe equipment running underneath that area, so it became like a problematic area. So we'll analyze that pipe. If it works, we'd request a waiver. If it doesn't work, we'll probably double it up or something. Next thing I wanted to talk about was landscaping. The site, like 60% of it is kind of farmish, and then the back corner is all industrial. And in these industrial plants, it's not an ideal space for landscaping, as there's no green space. We did, if you go back to the pictures, they did plant a double row of arborvitaes. Yeah, that's what they are. Along the boundary with the neighboring property as required in the original approval, but that was the only landscaping required and this was the only area that was modified on site.
And can I just ask a quick question more on the picture? So if I understand this correctly, the original setback was only altered and you only need a variance because the conveyor, which is all the way up in the air. So it's not like the building came out. I did want to clarify that for everyone.
The building's
It's not
fully
that
compliant.
The building moved. It's that the conveyor now sticks out of the top and that's what's eating up. That's why you're requiring the variance, correct?
Correct. And I know in Dave's report, he questioned whether, from circulation perspective, whether it had any impact. As you can see, that was all built over the concrete slab that's along the side of the building. And we have full width driveway around the building still.
What did you say? You could double up to make it conforming?
For the pipe, if the pipe doesn't have adequate capacity, the storm pipe, we can put another one next to it. That's still small, but with two pipes next, because we have a issue with getting past some other utility underneath it.
So Owen, as far as if you and Dave or the board engineer determine that a second pipe is necessary, that would be okay with the applicant?
I don't think they have a choice.
Quick question, we were talking about that setback there, and the rear setback of the neighbor is the railroad.
Yep.
The other side, what's the zoning on that property? Is that an
That's
industrial zone?
PRDM1 as well. That's the quarry next door.
Not residential.
No.
Are you through with your particular testimony?
I am.
Okay, so I'm going to bring it up to the professionals. Ken, if you wouldn't mind starting off.
Madam Chairman, if I could, I can't see those pictures from here in the dark. I just want to take a quick.
Oh, sure.
So I understand what they're talking about, what people are talking about.
I'm not sure if you went over, can you just go over the hours of operation?
Our next week.
Next one? Okay, got it.
Okay,
Mr.
so-
Dexter just seemed so
I have nothing
knowledgeable.
of the engineer.
I typically
Okay.
do.
So, Dave, do you have any information or questions for this particular?
No, I think, Madam Chairman and board members, just referring back to the report I prepared dated March 23rd, 2026. Basically, again, just for the record, to recap everything, we did receive preliminary as-built last fall. And that's basically after a review of everything that's been discussed here tonight. That's what precipitated us being here tonight, if you will. Because when we did compare the originally approved preliminary plan to what the preliminary as-built showed, we identified the side yard setback, the rear yard setback, the height of the silos, and the other issues that Mr. Dykstra just discussed tonight. So what we worked with the township construction official and the planning department, and basically everyone agreed that, as I understood it, the construction official was going to issue a temporary CO for the building as is, but it was subject to getting here tonight to ask the board for the relief for the various variances that Mr. Dykstra just described, and add the additional information as outlined in my report as far as additional features, the water mains, the hydrants, the valves, the utilities, et cetera. So basically, in the latest plan, and I included that in my report, just to give the board the background flavor of how it got here. And the items that Mr. Dykstra talked about tonight, as far as the silo variances for the height, the setbacks, the conveyor system on the side, the size of the pipe, and the other items, I basically am in agreement with. Plus, he had to clarify the 33,000 square feet, just so going forward, that number is correct in the record. The other item that we talked about with regards to storm drainage, as Mr. Dykstra indicated, this particular company does make a paving stone that basically, with the material underneath, can mitigate the increase in runoff. So they installed that on the site, and that's been functioning fine, as to the best of my knowledge. He also provided, just so the board knows, an operation and maintenance manual that still, I believe, has to get recorded in the county clerk's office. And I put all that information in the report, just so the board knows, so it makes it, if the board decides to approve this as a condition of any resolution, from the standpoint that it's entirely possible, because it's happened in the past, that with regards to stormwater, Sparta could be audited again by the DEP. And we were audited a couple years ago, and DEP at random took a couple site plans and came to our office and wanted to see all the documentation that had been reviewed and approved in accordance with the requirements of the stormwater rules and regulations. So that's why I wanted to make sure that got taken care of and not lost in the transaction, if you will. And finally, on the end of the report, I list a series of various agencies, Sparta and county and state agencies, that we just want them to confirm that they've got the approval, provide written copies of the approvals, so that hopefully we can close this part of the project out. So that's basically a summary of the whole thing.
Council, is it fair to say for the record that your client has no objection to compliance with the board engineer?
Yep,
Report. Great, thank you.
And Lindsay, do you have anything to add to the testimony or any questions for Owen?
I'm assuming there's no deed restrictions or easements on the property. And then last
Or
piece,
easements, but
but not that are addressing that will not be addressing the application at hand. And then some of my comments have been addressed by Mr. Dykstra, specifically the remaining ones that addressing like landscaping, but I think Mr. Dykstra did a good job explaining how the previous resolution addressed landscaping and kind of the deviations from the ordinance, and I think that those continue to be applicable to this application as well.
So, Council, just for the record, as far as the issues identified by the planner, as far as continuing obligation to the prior rules of landscaping, there's no place.
Yep.
Thank you.
I will bring it back to the dais. Any other questions from the dais for this particular witness?
I have one question.
Mr. Dykstra, what's underneath the conveyor system? What, is it pavement, concrete?
Yes.
Okay. And it has to be concrete, it can't be the pervious pavers?
we have a concrete apron around the whole building. You don't want porous material right next to a building. It creates you kind of want a block of more water. You don't want moisture in a building, so you segregate that.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the dais?
Just, it sounds to me like really the changes that were made to the building, which I think was one of the big questions, what drove all these changes? But it really sounds like when you were going through it, some of the regulations for safety have changed. The OSHA, when you're dealing with OSHA, obviously, I was on the board in 2022 when you guys came and it was approved. And it sounds to me like it's nothing of the nefarious nature. It just seems like the rules changed and you had to update accordingly. I'm not too worried about the setback because it's in the air, really, so there's nothing. So I think that was really the only thing that was concerned. So I have no questions.
Ron, did you have a question? You look like you were going to ask.
The only question, the only question I had is regarding the left turn, no left turn. So, when I look at the master plan and the whole zone there, the idea is to keep all the trucks and everything away from the residential area. So if they make a left turn, they're heading up to that residential area. Would you agree or disagree with that?
I agree that, I agree that that would be the case if they made a left, no question. The reality is, I don't think trucks are going that
Can
way.
you speak into the mic for the people at home?
Sure. I don't think that any of the trucks are going that way, but because we don't control that access by ourselves, I mean, we could say Nicolak, no left turn, something like that, maybe. But
Maybe we can hear from the owner if that's an issue.
There's also a weight limit on the road when you make a left. So, I mean, trucks would be in violation if they're not actively delivering on that road. If they're a through truck, they'd be over the weight limit and be ticketed, correct? You know, so.
Is there a sign that clearly states the weight limit for that area?
Beyond that driveway, there's a weight limit.
Ernie, your experience ever an issue with these?
Not with that site.
Fair enough.
And just one last question. So the prior approval did not include a restriction on no left turn?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I think we're
I
ready
had
to
a
move
couple
on
of
to.
questions. What is the height of the 33,000 square foot building?
It's just under 40 feet. So just call it 40 because it's like 39.9 something.
Okay, because when you showed the pictures and you were looking at it from the ShopRite and different angles, you said the silos were lower than the building and therefore you wouldn't even notice the increased height of the silo. But if the building is 40 feet and the silos are 48.16 for silo 3 and 53 feet with all the additional stuff, they would clearly be
I
higher
didn't
than
say
the
they were
building.
lower than the building.
From the pictures. You said when you looked at it from the pictures, you don't even notice the silos.
Just because of the distance, I said the only one that you noticed the silos was from the Park Lake Industrial Complex. Other than that, you can see them in the distance. Are they taller? Yes.
Okay. And then when you realized, because you came in with 44 square feet for everything, and when you realized that it was going to be higher, not because of what OSHA made you do with the dust covers and stuff, how come there was no communication with the town at that point, when it went from 44 to 48 and then 53?
We did our as-built, and that's when it came up. It turned out that the original, this is how it happened, is what I'm told. The original, there was, these were on the ground, but they were concerned about trucks hitting them, so they put them on 3 foot, and that's how they got taller. So I wasn't involved in that decision, but when we located them and it came, that's when we came here with the as-builts, and that's why we're here.
A lot of the issue is that this is all like retrospective at this point, that, maybe should have come and asked, but I had another question back on the previous page for building number 5. You said it was a pre-existing non-conforming, but was that pre-approved in your original application in 2022?
It
Like, how
was,
did it become pre-existing?
building 5 is located here. That building's been there since the subdivision was created,
So
so
then why didn't you get a variance in 2022?
they took a different perspective on it. They didn't require a variance on it.
So then you have approval for that already?
It's a pre-existing nonconformity. The last board attorney didn't determine that you're required to re-up those.
Or was it on the original plan?
It's on the original plan, exactly the same.
And that building was not a new build. That building was, to the actual word, pre-existing non-conforming. It was there since.
I've been working on this
Which is why I thought they
facility
would've
for
had
20
previous
years.
variance.
If it's pre-existing non-conforming, you don't need a variance.
Then why are we giving one now?
No, you're asking for building 5, for just one building. That's not what they're asking for a variance. on
No,
now.
Lindsay, and it's a
Yeah,
different
So when
perspective.
it's pre-existing non-conforming, it's possible that at the time when the building was constructed, the zoning was different. So it is existing prior to the zoning that is today, and since they're not changing anything on the building, it's considered a pre-existing non-conforming condition.
That was
And
it.
the use is also.
Yes.
Okay, I have a couple.
Okay.
So we moved the conveyor from inside to the outside. Is that correct? Because of the OSHA requirement for safety.
Correct.
So now, did that elevate the noise level at all? Because I'm thinking about the North Village area. I mean, conveyed is going to be gravel and rocks and things that are banging against a metal conveyor. And that is going to transmit, that noise is going to transmit throughout the shallow bowl of the Pollenskill
can
and
answer.
Wall Hill?
Well, I can answer it because I was, yeah.
Just wondering.
Yeah,
if
the
you
conveyor
thought-
belt is, it was already outside, number one. It just now goes around the corner of the building. But I was there like at the closest part of North Village, at the back of those houses, and it was running today and I couldn't hear it.
Oh, it
So,
was running today.
yes.
Okay, and you didn't hear anything. Okay. And so that was one thing. It'll come back to me.
Okay, I'm here all night.
Me too.
Mr. Director, one last question, and I think this was in Ms. Knight's reports. What are the hours of operation in particular? Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Okay, I think we are ready for our next witness.
Just your name and address for the record, please.
Roberto Nicolia Jr. My address is 141 Wampum Lane in West Islip, New York.
Spell your last name, please.
Nicolia.
And solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Just tell us relationship to the applicant.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, what's your connection with the applicant here tonight?
I'm vice president of the company, and my family is the owners of Nicolak.
All right, and what is it succinctly the business entails, for those who may not know in the board?
We manufacture concrete paving stones and retaining walls
And how long have you guys been doing that?
since 1992,
How long have you operated on this property?
2016.
And who did you buy the property or the business from?
We bought it from Grinnell Pavers.
And were they doing, substantially the same?
Essentially the same exact thing.
So we'll get right into it. What are the days and hours of operation for this business at this site?
So that can be broken into two components. Manufacturing is done generally 2 shifts. Those shifts, due to seasonality, can range from 8 hours to 12 hours. And then shipping and receiving is done 7 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Okay. The 2 shifts, if that goes, what would the hours at the manufacturing facility be running?
It would be running from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then generally, the second shift would run from 6 p.m. to about 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. And how many employees do you have in total?
There are 30 total employees on the site over both shifts.
Okay. And you heard Owen go through the whole parking and everything else. I mean, do you believe right now, given your 8 years of being 10 years now of experience, you think you have enough parking?
We have more than enough parking on site.
Why don't we do this? We're looking at A1. If you don't mind, you can grab the mic. If you can, and this was a question that the board planner had, what's going on in each of the 7 buildings we're looking at there?
Sure. So Building 1, the first building as you come
If
in.
you could just point, because I don't think everybody can see it.
Sure. So Building 1, right here is our office. So that's just, we have any staff on site is in there.
And how many people would be working in there?
About 7 Nicolak employees, and then Hammer and Steel has, I believe, 3 in there. Building 2 is called the maintenance building. That is about 2/3 Hammer and Steel, 1/3 Nicolak. That's just general storage for spare parts.
And what is Hammer and Steel?
They do maintenance on, I think, hydraulic drills and hydraulic rigs, things like that.
They have nothing to do with you?
No affiliation.
As far as, how does the dynamics work? Do you own the property? They
We own the property, they're our tenant, yep. Thank you. Building 3 is an existing manufacturing plant. That facility's been there, that was part of the Grinnell acquisition. Building 4 is a decommissioned manufacturing plant. And then we built Building 7 as kind of the replacement for that. So that's the building that's under question tonight, and that's where we built the new manufacturing facility. Building 5 is another decommissioned wet gas plant. And then Building 6 is just a storage facility for us.
The decommissioned buildings 4 and 5, what are you currently using those for?
They're both used for storage right now.
And what was the building that had the 1,000 square foot addition put on?
That would be Building 3. If you see in this top left corner, there's an area that's boxed out. So that yellow boxed out area is not currently there. It was part of our initial application back in 2022, just to give us a little bit more operating room around the equipment inside that building.
You haven't done that yet, but you want to keep those approvals.
Yes, sir.
As far as building number 7, the new manufacturing, and I wasn't here in 2022, that's brand new construction.
Correct.
And that was open space before,
Yes.
and I'd imagine it was a substantial capital improvement.
Yes, it was.
How much did you put into the building?
Approximately, the total project was approximately $30 million.
And as far as, I did drive in the site today, the very nice office building in the front, was that always there, or is that new also?
That was there when we purchased the property.
Okay, no improvement on that.
No.
So how do you handle deliveries into the site, the frequency, hours of operation, the hours they come in and go, and then when you ship product out?
Sure. So there's inbound raw material deliveries, which would be our sand, our stone, our cement that we use for the manufacturing process. That's between 7 a.m. and 5 p.m. Those are generally dump trucks, dump trailers that come in, deposit the material in our storage areas, and leave the site without ever really getting out of their truck. The other component of that would be our outbound deliveries. Those are generally third-party trucks or the flatbed trailers of our customers. They come in, they receive an invoice in our office, they go into a loading area, they're loaded with forklifts, and then they strap down their load. The only time they leave their truck is when they're securing their load before they leave the yard.
Now, I'm sure it's seasonal, but, let's go worst case scenario. When you're busy, how many deliveries of material come in on a given day, and how much product gets shipped out?
We have about 20 to 25 trucks throughout the course of a day in and out of the yard.
And you heard the question about left turns, right turns. As far as you know, because you can't control particularly when they're not your employees, how often do these guys come out and ever make a left turn?
I couldn't tell you for sure, as most of the trucks that come in are either from our vendors or a third party. Any Nikolock-operated trucks comply with any local regulations that they have to follow.
And when we talk about the product that comes in, stone, the gravel, this cement, where does that get dumped on the property?
The stone and the gravel get dumped right here. You'll see there's kind of aisle markers right here. That's where the material storage is, and the cement goes into the silos in the back that are in question, as that's a dry product, so it goes into a sealed silo.
Okay. And that's near where that conveyor belt is, correct?
Correct. The conveyor belt runs along this side of the building.
Now, when you were here in 2022, that conveyor belt was to be built inside of the building.
Yes.
When did you realize that wasn't going to fly with OSHA?
I don't know the exact date. It was, as the building was going up, we participated in one of those OSHA consulting programs where they come with no infractions and tell you kind of what you can do better, things like that. We met with them, they looked at the drawings, they expressed concern over the conveyor running through the building and people potentially working underneath the conveyors. So we moved it outside, not thinking that, we considered it just an equipment move, not considering setbacks or anything like that.
And the conveyor, when it's transporting the raw materials from outside to inside, one of the board members raised a question about the noise.
Those are, they're rubber conveyor belts, so it's not metal. There's a metal frame with thick rubber belt on it. There's a cover over it to protect from noise and also moisture from the rain. So it goes right up, and it's really doesn't make much noise at all.
Now, with respect to, we're looking at Building 7, to the back of that building is those silos. Again, the silos come, they get delivered, they get built. When did you realize that as part of your operation, you're gonna have to put that dust control equipment on the top of those?
During the construction process, as the silos were delivered, we realized that we were going to need to do some additional dust control. Dust control has been always moving target, specifically in this industry. And as those regulations have changed, we've had to adjust on the fly. So once we did that, we added these filters up top, and it added I forget the exact dimensions of them, to the top of the silos.
All right, and once you had to put those up, then you needed.
The safety railings, as it's a piece of equipment, we made it safe for if people had to go up there to do maintenance or repairs, things like that.
All right, and again, you were responding to a DEP requirement, probably not thinking, not that ignorance is any excuse, but having to come back here to.
Correct.
change the plan.
We tackled the problem at hand.
While this was going on and discussed it, you did in fact, before any of this work began, had and applied for building permits, correct?
Correct.
All right. So as these things were unfolding, municipal officials, not that we're blaming them, but they were aware of what was going on. So it's not like you were doing anything in the dark of night here.
No, they were all on site repeatedly for, various inspections and things like that.
And since the site, you've got a TCO and you've been operating, I mean, with respect to noise or traffic or anything, have you guys had any complaints or gotten any negative feedback from what's going on the property?
No.
And then finally, the size of the building. The original proposal, as far as you know, was a 33,000 square foot building, correct?
Correct.
All right. So there was no bait and switch going on where you were able to.
No.
Square feet. I don't have anything.
I'm going to bring it to the professionals first.
Nothing, thank you.
I have
no questions either.
Okay, so we will bring it up to the dais. Any questions for this witness?
I'm sorry, did I miss something? When you said that the two shifts were 6 to 6 and then 6 to 3, what days? Monday through Friday or 7 days?
Generally, it's Monday through Saturday.
Saturday. Thank you.
The added filters to the tops of the silos, do you know how much of a % dust reduction each one of those filters provides?
I don't have an exact percentage. They're intended to capture any dust overflow, because it is a sealed silo. So it's intended to catch any dust overflow and act as a pressure release valve as well for if there's overpressurization.
A question. Do you ship in all of your raw materials, or are you mining there?
No, everything's shipped in.
Everything's shipped in?
Mhm.
Previously, was the area mined for the sand and gravel? Do you happen to know?
Not since we've acquired the site.
Any other questions?
Originally, going back to these silos, they were all 44 feet in height. Then you were required to have dust covers.
Yes.
Why are there different size dust covers? With the dust covers, why is the first one at 48 feet, the next one at 50 feet, and the next one at 53 feet?
The equipment was purchased from a equipment manufacturer in Georgia. There was some discrepancies throughout the building and engineering process with the drawings they gave us, what was actually delivered, both in height and circumference. And we kind of made do with what was shipped.
It's not what you ordered?
It was, some of the dimensions were not exactly what we ordered.
Well, we're talking like 9 feet.
Well, there's the 3-foot concrete base that we added as well for backup truck protection,
Talking 6 feet.
minus the dust collection, yes.
So the reason that one is 6 feet higher than the others is because they sent you the wrong dust cover.
Yeah, there was some mix-up between engineering, fabrication, and design. No, the dust cover would stay the same. The dust cover is uniform, the dust collection on top, the silo itself.
What is the size of the dust cover?
I don't have the exact dimensions. I would say it's between 4 and 5 feet.
So the silo height changed. Why did the silo height change?
That was the miscommunication between engineering, not our engineers, the equipment engineers, the design and the fabrication of it. We received equipment that was not to the exact dimensions that was on the drawings.
And did you notify then the construction officials at the town, and then they gave you the permit to do this?
We were operating with the permits that we already had. We had a general contractor.
Previous permits?
The previous permits, correct.
Not for an increase in the height?
No.
No permit for increased height? Okay.
There was no, the town was aware, though, you said, right? The town was in and out of there and
Yeah,
checking the
the
site
ta-
plans and things
the
like
town
that.
was-
So the town was aware of the fact that things were changing on the site, and you did this, as things were changing, you were not doing this under cover of darkness, you were working with the township staff.
Yes, ma'am. As far as I know, our general contractor at the time had all necessary town inspections done for, the whole range, town, county, state, whatever was needed at the time. We were under the belief we were working well within the structure of the town.
So even though there might not be an official anything that was generated, you were working in partnership, not off under cover.
Right, nothing was hidden, everything, you can't miss those, so.
Is there anything documented?
We have all of our permits and inspections throughout the entire construction process.
So you can go to the 50?
No, we're not,
No.
we're not stating that. We're just saying that, nothing was hidden from these guys. But we're not taking their silence as somehow being an approval. That's why we're here.
So how long have you had the TC of O?
We received it, I want to say in October or November of last year.
And you got it predicated on these as-built on what's existing right now?
Exactly.
So the town felt comfortable enough giving you a TC of O based on what we've got right here, right?
Yeah, we met with everybody. We went through the entire site plan. We had our GC, our engineers, town officials, talked through the entire project, and the town felt comfortable giving us a TCO after that, pending coming to this hearing.
And that meeting was held, as indicated in my report, on November 6th of last year.
Okay. So in that time between then and now, right? So you've been operating with that in mind. So how have your operations been since you've occupied the building?
Everything's been fine.
So you haven't had any issues, no complaints, no issues, in terms of drainage, in terms of, anything that.
No, ma'am, the drainage has been great. Everything else has been absolutely fine.
One of the other questions that I actually had, and I'm not exactly sure whether or not you can answer it, but the utility authority had said that, if I can find it, of course, I had the page earmarked and now I lost it. Okay, so Servicide is needed to be called out for your utilities. Are you finding that this is an issue, or is this something that was addressed at some point?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand. the first-
The memo from Corey Long from March 23rd, 2026, said the Sparta Township Utility Office has completed its review of the above-mentioned application and offers the following comments. The proposed design is not acceptable to the Sparta Utility Department for the following reasons. A, interior plumbing plans are not provided. B, municipal hydrant is not called out on the plans. And C, service sizes need to be called out. So it seems that there was a potential for inadequacy. Just want to make sure that we're all on the same page and things are functioning the way they should be functioning.
I'll have Owen come back, because I think he talked about that in his direct,
Okay.
correct?
David, is that in your analysis? Is that in your analysis?
I'm sorry. on page
But
5 of
Because,
my
because they've
report
agreed
under
to compliance
utilities.
with your report. So are you comfortable that it's addressed in your report, or should be an additional condition?
It would be a condition that I would recommend because I defer to Mr. Long's report because he was intimately familiar with the layout of the water main infrastructure and what have you. And on the last page 6 of my report, under final approvals that we need the written approval from, Sparta Township Water Department for the water service and water main relocation, as well as any other requirements that they have, would be a condition if the board acted favorably.
Owen, is that okay?
Yes.
Council?
Yes, absolutely.
So board, they basically acknowledged on the record that there will be compliance with the Utility Commission memorandum of March 23rd, 2026.
And items B and C on that would be on our plans, and then the interior plumbing plans would actually be on the construction plans. We would put that there.
Oh, no.
That was it for my questions. Any others?
I've got one more, and maybe this will be handled later on, but, so we have these variances that you're requesting approval for. I'm not sure, I've got a little confused, Lindsay, reading some of your report, what type of variances were they? So, could we get testimony from you in terms of what type of variances are they?
We have a planner that'll be,
Perfect.
yes, yeah. So they're gonna be, it's our view that under the C1 analysis, that these bulk variances, that's what we believe you should be looking at. But they're all bulk variances.
Yeah, I would concur. They're all C variances since this board would not be able to grant D variances anyways. So it would be
That's all
sent to
we
the
need,
zoning board otherwise.
And there'll be testimony as why those variances should be granted?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I think we are ready for the next witness.
Okay, Allison?
Thank you. Thank you all.
Hi, Allison, do you solemnly swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
State your name and professional address for the record, please.
Allison Kopsko, ALISON, KOPSCO. Business address is 145 Spring Street in Newton, New Jersey.
If I could, just to move along, you're a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey,
Yes.
and your license is in good standing?
Yes.
And I'm sorry, do you work for yourself or for a company?
J. Caldwell and Associates,
And I'm sorry, where are they located again?
Newton.
Newton.
I'm a senior planner.
And have you been accepted as a professional planner before any boards before?
Thank you, Mr. Parr.
Not this board, but I was at the Sparta Board of Adjustment a couple weeks ago, and I represent several boards in Sussex County.
And they accepted.
Yes.
Accept her as an expert in the area of professional planning.
Okay.
So Allison, you had an opportunity, well, you've been here the whole night, correct?
Yes.
And you've also had an opportunity prior to tonight's meeting to review the May 4th, 2026 report that was prepared by Ms. Knight, correct?
Yes.
All right. Been to the property?
Yes.
All right. In your professional opinion, we've got these bulk variances out there. Are they justified? I had said that under the C1 analysis, are they justified? And if so, what's the reasoning for that?
Yes, so just kind of zooming out a little bit to give a little bit of context. So 482 Houses Corner Road is slightly irregular in shape. It's located southeast of White Lake. There are several industrial uses immediately adjacent to the area, and a light industrial business park to the west. Along Houses Corner Road and west of the subject property are smaller commercial uses, including a pet boarding facility. And south of the subject property is a quarry property, which is also in the PDRM1 zone. So the variances being requested are relatively minor in nature. Just to clarify what those are, there are 3 minimum rear yard setback variances being requested for, one for each of the silos. The required setback is 100 feet. For silo 1, 96.6 feet is existing and proposed, 98.7 feet is existing and proposed for silo 2, and silo 3 is 98.5 feet existing and proposed. And then we also have several building height, accessory building heights variances being requested for those same silos. Silo 2, the maximum height is 45 feet. We are at 45.11 feet. That's excluding the equipment and the railing. And then silo 3 is 48.16 feet. And again, I would agree with your board planner that because the language is fairly straightforward, in NJSA 40:55D-70D6, it pretty clearly applies to the principal structure, and the silos historically have acted as accessory structures. They meet the definition of accessory structure in the township code. And so I would agree that those are all bulk variances rather than the height variance, the use variance. And so I would actually consider these variances more applicable under the C2 variance criteria. And as the board is aware, the municipal land use law sets forth the statutory criteria, positive and negative, for these bulk variances. So boards need to find, applicants need to demonstrate that the purposes of the municipal land use law would be advanced by granting these proposed variances, that they can be granted without substantial detriment to the public good, that the benefits of granting these variances outweigh any detriments, and that the variance will not substantially impair the intent and purpose of the zone plan or zoning ordinance. So first, looking at the positive criteria, the first purpose of zoning outlined in municipal land use law that I feel is advanced by this proposal is purpose A, which is encouraging municipal action to guide appropriate use of land in a manner that promotes the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. So first, talking about the silos themselves only slightly exceed 45 feet, but the equipment on top, as well as the railings, the equipment that controls the dust, they do push that a little bit further over the maximum height. Without this equipment, the operations on site are less safe, and there would be no measures in place to control the dust that's produced from the materials within the silos. This equipment promotes the general welfare by improving air quality and meeting NJDEP rules and regulations. Again, looking at the primary concern with exceeding height regulation, these concerns are usually with respect to negative aesthetic impacts or issues with blocking light, air, or open space. As shown and described by our project engineer, this site has a topography that allows for the silos to sit in a manner that has extremely minimal impacts to any public rights-of-way. With this in mind, the use is permitted in the PDRM1 zone, and the structures are expected and appropriate for this area in terms of size, scale, and use. The visual impacts are minimal given the large size of the site and the dispersed nature of the buildings. This eliminates any concerns with the blocking of light, air, and open space. And then looking at the issues that are commonly associated with rear yard setbacks, they're very similar to height, looking at the blocking of light, air, and open space again. In this case, the large site of the lot and the topography allow for these slight encroachments into the rear yard setback with no negative impacts to the surrounding area. And as it's been mentioned, the site that's immediately adjacent and has the best view of these encroachments are the railroad tracks. So again, that concern has been eliminated. Finally, looking at the conveyor setback, it was moved from inside of Building 7 to the western side yard, where it encroaches into the 50-foot side yard setback, approximately 38.5 feet. The adjacent lot that's directly next to this property line is approximately 55 acres. It's almost entirely undeveloped. It's the quarry site, and it's also within this PDRM1 zone. Again, the purpose of moving the conveyor belt was to allow for safer operations inside of Building 7. And the side yard location also allows for a safe and efficient on-site truck circulation. It doesn't impact that. It's also not visible from any public right-of-way. So the variances being requested promote Purpose A by creating increased safety on the site and meeting NJDEP and OSHA regulations. We can also look at Purpose G, which is to provide sufficient space in appropriate locations for a variety of uses. The use is permitted in the zone, and allowing for these variances as they are requested, it permits an existing successful industrial use in an industrial zone to provide safer and more efficient on-site operations. All of the variances being requested this evening are intended to improve the safety of on-site operations while resulting in very minimal, if any, impacts on the surrounding area. Finally, we can also look at Purpose M, which is to encourage coordination of various public and private procedures, shaping land development with a view of lessening the costs and to a more efficient use of the land. The proposed improvements and requested variances allow for the efficient use of an existing site without having to find a new developable site near or on environmentally sensitive land. There is existing impervious coverage, and as such, this is an efficient use of the expansive property that the operations occur on. So then looking at the negative criteria of the C2 variance, applicants need to first demonstrate that there's no substantial detriment to the public good. So primarily, we're concerned with what can the public see. The silos are not visible to a substantial extent from any public right-of-way due to natural vegetative buffers, particularly to the rear of the site, where you do have Trafalgar Court, which is relatively close, and they might have the best view, but there is some natural vegetation there. The side yard setback encroachment by the conveyor system has minimal, if any, impact on the adjacent property, which is in the same industrial type zone as the subject property. Any potential development on the site would be of similar character to the operations occurring on the Nicolak site. Then we can look at the rear yard encroachments. As I mentioned, the silos are relatively de minimis in nature, less than 5 feet, and they're contained on an existing concrete pad that surrounds an existing building. Physically and visually, the encroachment is very minimal. So then I've also had the benefit of reviewing the township's master plan and reexamination reports. The application is consistent with the purpose of the PDRM1 zone, which is to allow for economic development in the form of a planned development, which will provide for a coordinated plan development of all the properties in the zone and will supplement the economic development zone in a controlled manner. So the proposal includes improvements that promote the safety of employees on site, including dust control and more space in the interior through the relocation of the conveyor system. Some goals from the 1984 master plan and as amended through the 2020 reexamination report that are particularly advanced by this project are safeguarding the tax base, preserving economic balance, and providing for a continuing source of employment and tax ratables through appropriate use of existing and potential non-residential land, and then avoiding development which will disturb environmentally sensitive lands. So just based on those proofs that I've just presented, I believe that the proposal meets both the positive and the negative criteria, and that the requested variances can be granted without any substantial detriment to the public good or any substantial impairment to the intent and purpose of the zone plan and zoning ordinance.
So the release order is C1 or C2?
Yeah, correct.
I have nothing further.
Okay, we'll bring it to the rest of the professionals.
I have nothing further, Madam Chair.
I have nothing further.
Lindsay, are you comfortable with everything that has been testified so far with, in terms of how the variances, apply?
Yeah,
Are
no,
you
I would
in agreement
agree.
with her assessment?
Yes, and the applicant's planner is well-versed in planning law, MLUL, and I do agree. I actually even called out similar master plan consistencies in my own report, and noted specifically in the 2011 master plan amendment, PDRM zones intent, and I would agree that it is the intent of the zone plan and the master plan for this type of use, and the location of these is, in my opinion, less impactful because it is located in such an area where it's not adjacent, it's not in the areas adjacent to the residential areas. And I think Mr. Dykstra did a really great job of showcasing from North Village those images, and you could barely see anything in them. I went to the site today as well. Surprised I didn't see Mr. Poro there. I did a drive-by as well. And I do think that it is, a use that has been, that's been functioning for a while, and they've done a great job of keeping that site clean. You go there and it's, it's running in good order. While they need deviations or waivers from parking, when I was there was plenty of parking spaces as well, and I was there around like 5. So kind of close to that change between the 6 to 6 and the office workers being there as well. So when I was there, I saw plenty of parking spaces as well. So that would be one of the other items that I would consider as kind of controversial, but having been there and seen the site and seen the parking situation, I would be comfortable with the variances being granted this evening.
Okay. Bring it back up to the dais. Any questions for this witness? Okay, seeing none, I'm assuming this is your final witness?
Yes, Madam Chair.
I apologize. Ms. Furman has questions.
I have one. When was the OSHA requirement for dust covers regulated? When did it become?
That was a DEP requirement.
Oh, DEP.
OSHA was the conveyor belt.
Okay, so when did that occur?
Kind of a conversation between trends that we saw happening in our industry across the whole country. Although it was a substantial capital investment for us to add those to each of our silos.
No, I think it's a good thing. And I just want to say, I'm glad Nicolak is an employer here and an owner, and that you are here. I just have, a lot of reservations about retrospective approvals coming in, if you knew this and the height variances, that there should have been some communication. So I was concerned about that, but from your testimony, you're saying that the town was in and the town was aware of all of this. And so it sounds more like an administrative issue than anything else, because it's not up to the town to really approve these height variances. But if you relied on that, then, it's not up to me to hold it against you. You got a TCO. So, but those are my concerns. And I just want the message to get out there to the rest of the public or the, employers, that we shouldn't be doing things retrospectively. It puts us in a kind of uncomfortable position. And so I would also ask that, you've had some improvements that are different than what you originally planned, and that I would suggest that there be a new tax assessment, of the property.
I assume since we're operating on a TCO, when the CO is issued, the assessor, I'm certain, will be out there to
Okay.
bring us up.
Any other questions from the dais? Okay, so I'm assuming this is your last.
Yeah, that
So
is it,
before we step away, we're going to open it up to the public for any potential questions relative to this hearing in particular. Okay, seeing none, I think we are ready to craft a motion.
Yes, Board, you have before you PB number 26-739, Nicolak Paving Stones LLC, 482 Houses Corner Road, Block 16005, Lot 16, PDRM-1 zone. The original request was an amended site plan with variance. We clarified also that there, because of the changes, we're going to call it also preliminary, and final site plan approval because there's some new aspects. So an amendment to the old plan and thereby a preliminary and final site plan approval. There were the variances as discussed and set forth in the numerous reports. We had 3 witnesses in support of the application: the applicant engineer, the applicant property owner representative, and the applicant planner. As a condition of approval, assuming that you approve the application, would be compliance with the board engineer's report and the board planner report, which were very specific, and also the utility report by Corey Young, Long. There was one aspect on that no left-hand turn. I defer to the board and your expertise in this area. When I did drive by, the line of sight looked pretty good. Ernie, I would think that if there was an issue that the police could recommend some safety issues, if it became an issue.
The police do enforcement of the weight limit on there, so, it's.
So I am not placing on unless directed, no left turn prohibition based upon the testimony. So again, the conditions would be the board engineer, board planner, utility report, if you were to approve this application with variance waivers as set forth on the record.
One other condition, please. The things that we are not changing, going back to the original resolution of June 15th, things that relate to stormwater design and spill prevention and all of those things, hazardous materials, that they still remain in place.
Good point. I'll so add it.
My understanding that anything that's not being asked to be changed remains in place.
Yes, but it doesn't hurt to.
No, I mean, I'm just
Yes,
saying.
yes.
Just for my own clarification.
Yes.
My understanding is this was approved, it doesn't not become approved because they asked for variances for different things.
That is
So-
true, but we have the board engineer's report and board planner's report also set forth, but no harm in reiterating that and assuming you had an approval resolution.
So we are looking for an approval based on the motion as crafted by Ken Poro. May I have a motion and a second, please?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
May we have a roll call, Carrie?
Christine Quinn,
Yes.
Ron Day,
Yes.
Christine Dunbar,
Yes.
Joan Furman,
Yes.
Ernie Ragsdale,
Yes.
Vice Chairwoman Burke,
Yes.
Birgit Bogler,
Yes.
Chairwoman Luciano.
Yes.
Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, gentlemen and lady.
Want us to keep the exhibits here?
Council, nice presentation.
Thank you.
Would it help if
Yes,
we
thank you.
submitted those electronically to you? We could add them to the file? Gentlemen, is it possible that you could submit those exhibits electronically to Carrie so she could add them to the file? Thank you.
Thanks, Owen.
5-minute recess.
Board members, in the back of the room is Robert from my office. He's just observing, if you were wondering who that guy was.
Hi, Robert, and welcome.
I was like, who's gonna
Who's
object?
He's the objector.
Who's
He's the high.
He's from the quarry.
He's from
Who is that guy? He looks like a troublemaker.
Yeah, he's right there.
Opportunity at the end of the meeting to get up when you can talk about anything.
Who's the guy
He
sitting
still
on
has
the
the
other
light in his
side?
eyes. He hasn't gotten to these meetings.
I couldn't read. I couldn't read.
Oh, he had something on there?
He's young. He's
Oh, I couldn't even see that.
But I couldn't make out like who it was. So I'm not sure.
Are we taking a little break?
Got everything?
Yeah. So Robert, as Owen was saying, if people come to night meetings, the higher associates, then I told him this is a great area.
No, you know what? I gotta tell you, it's. Yeah, I've had people come out, go to like 2 meetings, and go, oh, you know.
Not
why-
for me.
Yeah, no, I mean,
Makes her
and-
really get
yes. But I used to.
Second marriage, Jimmy.
I actually.
You're
was
both in
able-
there.
So this was, so I had 2 girls, I was blessed, girls for basketball in college. I coached them, up until they got, I would sometimes.
Taking my phone
board
with me this
and
time.
say, if I got the agenda was first, I said, could you put me like last, so I could coach the game? And no, and I was the running joke, I lived in Long Valley, because I would,
Right.
and they used to call me Pat Riley. was
I
wearing
love
a
it.
suit.
I love it.
And then my son, I used to coach him. Literally, you know, like the parachute pants, I would wear those over my suit pants, take off my tie. And so you gotta really juggle, but the
Oh, jeez. I don't even know. What do you have to do? Go all the way out that door now?
Yeah.
Oh, we can't go out this door. That would. Yeah.
Because a lot of times, and I gotta
There's
tell
like
you,
a door behind here, we could just go straight out.
probably my age.
Oh, you know what? We able
I know, they
We
locked
always
it, they put a
go
copier office there.
That door.
We always went out that door and we had card and you spilled the plate.
Put an office or something on the other side instead.
It's ridiculous. So that room was originally put there for a meeting room for council. So that
Which makes sense.
council didn't have to take up any of the peripheral conference rooms or spaces or anything like that. During meetings, and, you know what I mean, like things like before meetings and things. And if you had to meet with a resident or you had to meet with somebody, the town council had a space. So when you serve on the town council, you don't get a filing cabinet, a desk, a space, a chair.
You get a
That-
computer.
You get what?
You get a computer.
You get an iPad, which is fine, you know what I mean? But
We don't
here's-
even get water.
those iPads,
Yeah, you can't work on that.
wait, you have to use your own Apple ID. So when we got the first set of those, I'm in IT. I said, hello, what's the ID? What's the Apple ID? Oh, we're not giving them to you, because the first time we got them, they were trials.
I think
I said,
Chris, I think our microphones are on.
oh, are they on still? Are we recording? Yeah, I'm break.
Yeah.
Harry, are the microphones still on?
Now.
Are we recording?
So it's a new, one. She said you should go to one. My wife was called, single parent capitalist or thing because
You had to
I was
use,
out 3 or 4 nights a month and with.
is it off?
All right, I think it's, I
No
think
more
we're
than
live,
that.
but yes.
But I will say, the one nice thing is you get the reports earlier.
I think moving forward, we need to figure out how to pause these things during.
The microphones are off. The visual is not, but the, oh, well, they were supposed to be.
They weren't.
Are the microphones live?
It's been live.
That's what I'm saying. I think we need to figure this out.
Back working now?
Oh, here, let me check. Yeah, they've been working the whole time.
Well, they work, but usually what happens is when we take a recess,
It
they
did not.
shut
It
them
was
off
live.
from the live stream.
So we paused it. We figured out a way,
Okay.
the microphones to mute them. And I think they're back on now.
Okay.
Can we double check and make sure that we're active on the live stream?
Here, I'll look it up.
Jeanette's looking it up.
Oh, okay.
She said Jeanette.
Yeah, that put you back to the beginning. know either. So if we are live, we're just double checking and making sure that we're live. Just want to have the public understand the delay. Okay, are we? I'm going to move
Hello?
forward as if we're live. Okay, so that brings us to the portion of the agenda where we are on other board business. I will throw it up very quickly to the dais. Does anyone have a matter for discussion currently? We'll start down with Birgit.
Not in that section.
Okay, and we will move forward to Ron,
Nothing, thank you.
Ernie,
Nope.
Jeanette,
Nothing, thank you.
Christine? Christine?
Good.
Joan? Okay. I don't have anything under other board business currently either, so we will move forward to updates. Seeing as though that the town council liaison is not here this evening, we will move forward to the update for the Environmental Commission.
Thank you. I'm very pleased to announce we had a highly successful Earth Day despite all the rain, we had a very successful Earth Day event. And people were looking for a place to get out of the rain. And there was a lot of different environmental groups. There was the Highlands Coalition there. There was the Ridge and Valley Conservancy. There was Trout Unlimited. There was the AmeriCorps Ambassadors, all sorts of kids' activities. So a good time was had by all. Yeah, a lot better attended than last year, for sure. So, so recently, I wanted to remind you that we're going to have a hike at Sparta Glen. And it's already been posted and you can register. There's a QR code and this is on our website. Hike the Sparta Glen, and it's scheduled for June 6th at 9 a.m. And they're going to meet at the Sparta Glen trailhead, and it's only going to be about 2.5 miles. It's relatively easy, so we hope you can join us for that. We have submitted, and we are going to submit. We haven't submitted it yet. It's not due yet, but we're submitting that county grant for trails. And that would be to clear out and improve the first section of the Iron Horse Trail, which is from Sunset Inn Road to Demarest Road. So fingers crossed on that. That's a $25,000 grant that we're applying for.
That's great.
Is that a straight up or is that a match? Or a
I
prepay?
don't think it's a match. Yeah,
So you don't have to prepay it and then they pay you back?
no.
They just give you $25,000?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, but we have to have a detailed budget and lots of different quotes from the people who cleared the trail and all of that. So we're still looking for that, I believe, and I can't tell you when the next Trails Committee meeting is, but it wasn't today. It'd probably be next week. Then what else is going on? We have been talking about data center a bit, you know, educating ourselves and all. And I did receive in the mail from ANJEC, the Association of New Jersey Environmental Commissions. Their featured flyer is all about data centers. So I'm going to just pass these down if you want to keep it. It's two-sided. I've given one to Joan and Jeanette and Ron. There's a color one. Anybody want that?
Here, Philip, you're getting the non-color.
Yeah. So it's
anyone else
just, yeah, so you might want to take a look at that, because we are concerned, of course, about the data centers. We want to be
Christine, do you have one more
proactive,
for me?
protecting Sparta. Oh, you bet. Here, you can have them all.
No,
you
Ron
got-
has one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The other thing we're discussing as part of our conversation would be relating to protecting our water in terms of a water bottling facility ordinance. So we're kind of studying what the capacity is of our aquifer and withdrawal rates and that sort of thing. So that's something else we need to focus on. I know that there are adjacent townships that that do sell or export water from the aquifer, and we just have to be careful. So that's something we want to look into. And I did mention that we submitted an ecology education grant for bats. And so we're waiting to hear if we got that. So we'll have an education program and then maybe figure out great places for bat houses in our community. We're also looking into just kind of assessing some guidelines, best management practices for winter salting our roads. Some guidelines we feel would be useful in Sparta. And also we thought that would be really helpful to the planning board is if we could come up with sort of an environmental commission checklist of concerns for applicants that come in and, submit their applications. We can let them know up front what things that we would be concerned about in their application. So if we could help that way, that would be great. Yeah, that's about all.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. You're
All right,
welcome.
we will move on to subcommittees. I'm going to start with the minor site plan subcommittee. To
Just
date,
ask, Brian left because he had a conflict. He's not out there, is he?
no.
Oh.
He took everything with him, jacket, books. He did not have to be told twice. He was like,
Yeah,
bye.
nope. Yeah, he escaped the evening. So minor site plan subcommittee, to date, we've had 17 applications submitted. Of those 17 applications, one is a resubmission, one had removed themselves from the list. Of those 17 applications, 4 of them were heard this evening. 2 of them were continued because we require additional information, and 2 of them were approved. And that brings me to minutes for last year that are still outstanding from October through December. Yeah, it would have been helpful for
why I was asking
Brian
where Brian was.
to be here for that, but we still have Birgit and Joan. I don't know if you want to take the opportunity to opine on them or see if we can get through a potential for approval, seeing only 3 of you would have been allowed to vote anyway.
And I was the only one on it the whole time, so, which is something I just wanted to go over. Now, I noticed people don't have these in front of them, so it makes it a little hard.
Oh, am I the only? No, you should have. a
Does
copy.
everybody have them? It wasn't in, are they in the
Should have a
packet?
copy.
Yeah, they're in the packet.
Oh, I copied mine. I didn't see the packet.
You approved at the minor site plan?
Oh, so they weren't here for everyone?
No.
Oh, okay. I apologize. We had them in
Only
our
in the
packets
minor
for minor
site
site plan.
Oh, you had the 2025?
Yes.
All right, some of you can follow, I guess.
That they go before
Well, we don't have to go through it line by line. do we?
No. I just want to, since we never really got to do a final of it at the end of the year, and these will be, I guess, become the minutes, I just wanted to go over a couple of things, and one was a last-minute change on application 25-14, the Legacy Group. It has Ron Day voting on that, but Ron had, let me backtrack. I'm going to just backtrack. Forget all that. We have a lot of names in here, as you will see, and somebody did question me on this because there were changes throughout the year. So one of the first applications, you see Christine Dunbar's name on it, and you see Bill Enright's name. That's because the applications had come in December of 2024, and we made the decisions in the very beginning of 2025. So they were on the committee in 2024, but not in 2025, other than that decision. So you'll see those 2 names. And then Ron stayed on till about April, and at that time he came off, and then Brian Zimmerman came on. Rob Leakley was on here, but then he went off, I think, in June, and then Birgit came in August. So there are 8 names going through here. And as the decisions were made, there was some confusion. So rather than going back to the voting sheets, a lot of it was by memory, et cetera. And there were some mistakes on here that we've been trying to fix and correct. I know Brian had one earlier, and I think that one was corrected. But after that, 2514, the Legacy Group, which was decided on April 22nd, 2025, it has Ron's name in here, but Ron was no longer on there. That should have been Brian. So I want to make that change to the minutes. Okay. And then there are just a couple other things I did want to go over. One is, let me just start with the summary. We had 50 applications that we had reviewed. We had approved 29, and then it says we denied 15. But we didn't outright, well, we did deny those 15 because the Minor Site Plan Subcommittee is not allowed to grant waivers or variances. And many came in that required that. So we referred 10 of them to the Planning Board, 3 of them to the Zoning Board, which really means we denied about 2. Okay, so as you're going through that, just keep that in mind. It wasn't that we were denying the application itself, we were denying the ability to review it because of the variances and the waivers that were required, mostly parking waivers. So if you have a multi-tenant site, you're required to look at the parking, and things came in sometimes where it did require an update, and that had to be referred to the Planning Board. You have some in here, if you look at it, 2505 Rubicon Properties. It said zoning board approved the changes. MSPS not required, and that was back in the beginning, but it came to a point where we said, wait a minute, minor site plan should be seeing all of these applications. That is what the ordinance says. Most towns do not have a minor site plan subcommittee, and it would normally just come to the full planning board. So because we have this subcommittee, we act as the body of the planning board, and we should have been receiving them and reviewing them if they put forth an application. And I think a good example of that was we got questioned about a change in use from a computer repair shop to a smoke shop. But that was not done by the minor site plan subcommittee. So we took that back and we said, look, if they file an application, it needs to be heard by the minor site plan subcommittee, unless, of course, there were a couple of them that we shouldn't have heard because of the variances and waivers, whether it be zoning or planning board. There's another one I just wanted to call your attention to. It's 2521. That came in, and the subcommittee unanimously said, no, we cannot grant this. It requires a waiver, and it should go to the full planning board. Well, if the applicant had come in to the full planning board, they probably would have gotten approval, but they did not. Instead, they came back 3 months later, application 2532, and we told them the same thing. Look, we can't do this. This requires a waiver. So if this planning board here denied an application, the recourse, bless you, recourse from the applicant is a legal recourse. They can take us to court, they can do whatever they want. It should be no different for the subcommittee. This applicant, though, determined that, hey, I'm going straight to administration. So even though we denied it twice unanimously, and it has in here, in the minutes, approved by the township manager on October 29th, 2025, in consultation with the township attorney and planning board attorneys pursuant to ordinance section 2-6.4B. Well, if I vote for this, it will be with that part coming out because there is nothing in section 2-6.4B that allows the township manager to do this. That was not the proper way to decide this. It never came back to us as a subcommittee. We had no knowledge of it. And I brought this up one other time, and we said we were going to do something to, talk to the township manager, and it never happened. It just kind of disappeared a few months ago. So if we bring forth the approval of these minutes, I would like it to be that the township manager comes in and explains why this happens, because this is just completely wrong. And I do want to get that on the record. The other thing I just want to point out, we have an applicant that came in with unclean hands. They already had signs up. They came in and we did not approve it because it did not meet the requirements. They came back again several months later as 25-39. We again voted no, and those signs are still up. I don't think that's anything that we can do since, that's out of our jurisdiction. But I think we can make it known that this applicant continues to just do what they wanted and disobey everything. And that should be maybe something that we can at least call to the attention of the new code enforcement official. So those are some of my comments. And, I would put Birgit, I'm happy to hear whatever you have to say.
I'm in agreement with what you said.
Okay, so if we put a motion together to approve these minutes, my motion would be that we fix 2514 to take out Ron Day's name voting aye and insert Brian Zimmerman, and to have Jim Zepp come to one of the next meetings and explain how he is approving these ordinances. Or
You
these,
can request. We can't demand. You can request.
we can request. So who would request that? Would you do this? Would Celeste do it?
If the board determines you'd like to do that. Well, for the sake of the meeting, you have requested, for the sake of the meeting.
I have,
For the sake of the minutes, I should
for
say.
the sake of the minutes, and
You
for the
have
minutes, I would
suggested
like to
requesting
take
it.
out everything after approved by the town manager on 10/29/25.
But what I say, Joan, if that's his position, that,
These are our minutes, though.
no, I get it, but if, I wouldn't take it out in the sense that you'd ask him to explain why that is applicable. But I wouldn't take it out if that was the basis of, it just gives completeness. That's his position, right or wrong.
Yeah, they put it in here, but it was not something that we put in. But if you feel that it should be left in for that purpose, then I'll leave that part alone with the request for him to come and explain why he broke protocol and procedure for a planning board issue.
What number was that one?
It started out as,
25, which one?
It ended up being 2532.
it started as 2521. We denied it. It came back a couple months later, same exact application as 2532. We denied it again, and then it was overridden without any correspondence to the minor site plan subcommittee. We had no knowledge.
My clarification.
Can you use the mic?
Sorry. So Ken, I guess this question is for you. What is our position here with this specific issue?
To be very candid with you, I haven't done a analysis of it. I think Joan's suggestion requesting some discussion on it, and again, we have no subpoena power, so he could say he's doesn't need to explain himself as business manager, but you were approving the minutes. So I would suggest that you approve the minutes with the notations that Ms. Furman had noted.
Gotcha.
Be no different than if we had denied Nicolak
Yeah.
as a
No, no,
planning
I get
board,
it.
and then it gets overridden. That's not the process.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so then the motion is then to approve it with the change to 2514,
So
that
basically,
Brian,
I'm sorry, Joe, what you're saying is that what's written in there accurately depicts what happened,
yeah,
right? Okay.
yeah.
Yep.
And just so we understand, right? So right now, the only two people who are eligible to vote are Birgit and Joan. So even though we're having this conversation at the board level, that there's a better understanding, of what happened during the course of last year, the only two people who are eligible to vote are Birgit and Joan.
Well, let me ask you a question. This is kind of interesting now, because Birgit was there from August, but Ron was there in the beginning. Rob Otto is here.
Well, right now, the
All right, so let me just-
issue is from
Let me ask
October.
again.
Well,
Let me ask
the issue
again.
is from October through December.
Well, December is year end.
I understand that, but the point is that there's a year-end update, but everything prior to October had already been
Okay,
approved.
fair enough.
So what's being approved at this point are the 3 months from October through December, and what you just went through was the wrap-up of how the year progressed, right? So now we've gotten that on the record, now that we've gotten that out in the open. Right now, the vote is for minutes predicated from from October through December.
Right, and those of you who are Robert's Rules junkies, you have a quorum to open the meeting, and you have those present who can vote, and we can approve the meeting minutes with one vote. If Beardred and Joan said, one said yes, one said no, then there wouldn't be a majority. But if only Joan was able to vote, and she's the only one, you can vote, and that is proper.
Okay. Then, for the last time, I guess I'll make the motion to approve it based on a change from 25-14, changing Ron Day voting aye to Brian Zimmerman voting aye. And there was one other that he changed this afternoon. It's in the most recent one.
Yes.
Right,
So,
okay.
yeah, what originally Brian had changed was 2448, where he was listed and Ron needed to be, and he also requested a change for 2501, where he was listed and Ron should have been listed. So I made those changes on his behalf.
2448?
That's what he said. He indicated 2448.
Okay, because I printed this out right at the end before I got here, and it still has Ron's name on here.
The two, I don't.
Right,
again, I don't
Ron
have it in
should be
front of me.
there.
Ron should be on there.
Ron should be there for 2448.
okay,
Yes.
okay.
And
What two
2501.
were those? I don't have the sheet in front of me. What numbers were they?
2448, first page.
2448, first page.
Yeah.
And 2501. Brian had said he was not
Yes,
on
those are
minor site plan for that.
That's
agree.
correct.
Okay.
Agree.
And then the legacy group was 2514, and you did not vote on that one. That was the
Right, I agree.
fence. That was Brian.
Right.
Okay.
And we'll make that change because Brian hadn't noted that prior. So we're,
So again, you have a quorum, but only those who are able to vote can vote on those minutes, who are in attendance.
Need a second.
I'll second.
Carrie, roll call for the two, please.
Birgit Fogler?
Yes.
Joan Furman?
Yes.
All right.
Great.
Hallelujah.
End of an era.
May.
Okay, now we are going to move into the update for Master Plan Subcommittee. Our next meeting is scheduled for May 11th, which is this coming Monday. Lindsay, if you wouldn't mind helping me out, where are we with agenda? Because I've been juggling a lot of stuff.
So I actually was told this week by Highlands that the scope of work was submitted to them for grant work. So I will be putting an agenda together based on that. However, at the previous subcommittee meeting, we were able to come up with some potential goals and objectives, which has been one of our cruxes. So hopefully we will keep that same momentum at the next meeting and potentially move forward with some of those items as well.
And I also want to put out there, actually, there was a great suggestion put forward by Jenny Derricks saying that, or asking that if certain members of the subcommittee wanted to meet in smaller groups in between our regularly scheduled meetings to kind of go over certain things. This way they can bring those items forward into the official meeting. I think that's a great idea. You know, so if we can pull that together and get, you know, whatever members are available at the times that they're available, I think that that'll help move the momentum, you know, push the
Absolutely.
ball toward the goalpost.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jenny,
Yeah, thanks,
for suggesting that.
Yeah, agenda and minutes from the previous meeting will be going out tomorrow, though.
Great. Thank you so very much.
There's one last thing, and it's too late now. But in the minutes, I just completely forgot about this till now. It has Luke's name as he was going to do the minutes for the back minutes, you know, that we haven't had. And it has him down as Luke Dykstra.
Okay. Oh, and adopted him, yeah. Okay, there we go.
Is there a way to still correct that, or?
Yes.
Okay.
So noted.
So
Okay.
for members of the community, for members of the community that might be interested in following along with what's going on with the master plan, Are the minutes of that available at the township website? Where do people get that?
We don't have them yet.
So, yeah, they're really notes. They're not official minutes. They're really
Okay.
notes from previous meeting because we only meet once a month. It kind of keeps everybody, up to date, or is intended to keep everybody up to date and refresh our memories in terms of what happened last time, where we're supposed to be headed, and
But the public process will be starting to ramp up a bit more, where more of the master plan will be becoming more of a public process in the coming months. Like this summer is where we're anticipating to do much of kind of the public meetings.
So I'm asking, is there some space somewhere online in some realm where people can go and if they want to participate in a meeting or they want to look at what's going
these
on?
aren't open to the.
They're
these
not
aren't
open to
minutes
the
that are open
public
to
at
the
all?
So
public,
we
no.
had a bunch of
I know you had the
public
survey.
engagement.
Yeah.
In the,
Yep.
And now we're kind of going through the process of like writing the master plan. And then once we're going to go by each section rather than presenting it all in one undertaking
Right.
so that, we can really get the most engagement with the public. And those sessions are going to be coming where we'll present them similar to when Brian Intindola came and he gave the circulation element. We got a plethora of feedback. We go back to the drawing board, we implement what we think is valuable and useful. And then we'll have one final meeting where we do show everything that we've done since those public meetings, kind of an all-encompassing saying, okay, this is the final plan released to the public. There'll be 2 public engagement sessions. And that will also be, so there'll be plenty of opportunities for the public to be involved in public meetings.
Well, Luke Dykstra was going to put some of these notes together for us, and then when we get them, is that something we can put just the notes
You
on
can
the?
request from the township manager a page on the township
And we could
website.
put, but I'm asking,
then-
are we going to put the notes on there?
I'm not exactly sure about the feasibility of that, but I mean,
Yeah.
one of the issues that we had previously in terms of, putting out information that's not officially part of the actual document and or process is that we don't want misinformation out there, or we don't want information that's transient information that changes from space to space. One of the reasons why the subcommittee is put together the way that it is, we have citizen members on the subcommittee, so we're getting that feedback from people who are not part of any statutory board who, are bringing certain things to the table.
Yeah, I think one of the issues is, like in the past, we've posted like the PowerPoint presentations and, so the PowerPoints, they don't have the full scope of what was presented. And unfortunately, a lot of times the slides were taken as that was what was completely presented and it was taken, as we were, not giving enough information or it was very vague, when in reality, there was a presentation that went with each slide. So kind of the feedback that we had gotten was misinformation spread from that because we would have these slides that are meant to, anyone who's done a PowerPoint, you don't put you don't put all your information on there because nobody wants to see a paragraph of words up there, right? You put kind of things that are visually stimulating and kind of touch on the points that you'll be speaking about. So unfortunately, they were being used incorrectly. And so to avoid confusion or to avoid the spread of information or misinformation, we determined to kind of, until things are ready to be released, just wait until they're ready and release them in that capacity.
Right, so basically, prior to any hearing moving forward, anything that the board is going to digest, that'll be given out to the public as well, because that's going to be part of an agenda, it's going to be part of something that they're going to come and we want them to participate in, we want them to speak to.
And I apologize. The only reason I said it was because when you said, oh, the minutes, I said, oh, good. Are the minutes
Oh,
out
yeah,
there
yeah.
somewhere? So that's why
But we do have a master plan website that has my contact information and my office. If anybody does from the public have questions, we are more than happy to engage with people within the municipality and talk to them about the process or help them with any questions along the way as well.
And that website has all of the historic information, right? So it has all the previous iterations of the master plan. It has the survey data. So, it does have some information out there that we've done to date.
And as the elements become public, we'll put them on there. We'll put meeting dates, any kind of updates we'll be putting there as well.
So that's what I would just have them when you're ready.
Yeah.
Add to the township website, like.
There's
add it
actually a
on the-
link.
Is it
There
on
is
the
a
new
link
page?
Yeah.
from the planning board's page. There's a link from the planning board's page that you can get to.
Okay.
to
And
that
when we
site.
did the public engagement, I believe we did, I don't know if you guys use Nixle or what program you use, but we did do a blast to all of the residents who are on that program where, you know, you get your Sparta Township information, the road closures and things like that. So we had those in there, and then we also had it on the electric sign in front of the municipal building. So we are making sure that word is out there as much as possible.
And council liaisons were also, spreading the word to like Mohawk Board of Trustees, things like that, so we can kind of keep everybody engaged and involved in the process.
Yeah, we've had really great engagement sessions and really great turnout and from all over the township, which has been awesome.
Just a quick question, and again, I appreciate all the work that everyone's doing on this. I think people are anxious to see it. Are we still on track to complete it this year, do you think?
Yeah, the intention is for it to be completed by September.
Awesome. Thank you.
I know.
So
we're
even
all
if we're
ready.
late,
We're
it's
all-
still gonna be this year.
That's all
We're
right.
all ready for it to be completed.
Yeah, I think we're all ready to, kick this ball over the
Congratulations,
goalpost.
that's great news.
All right, so that is it for subcommittees, and we are gonna move to the open.
Before we leave subcommittees, so some new information came into minor site plan today shortly before 4:00. And it would have been unforeseeable to notice an executive session to discuss this. And Ken, I'm just wondering, can we add an executive session after we open it to the public, knowing that, there's not going to be any formal action, but we would just discuss this new information that came in shortly before 4:00, like 2 hours before minor site plan?
I think we can talk, I don't think we have to go into closed session on the concept of if things are brought, minor site plan or to the building department, and they're not timely, should they be disregarded? Should it go to the next meeting? And that's within your purview to say, yes, we will hear it, or no, we won't. So that's a tough call.
I think it's a little bit bigger than that.
What was not distributed? I'm not sure what you didn't receive.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that.
Okay.
Well, there was,
So maybe what we need to do, in the interest of where we are right now, is maybe offline, you guys should just level set so you can explain to him
Correct.
what you're,
Right.
what you're talking about. And
And
I'm
if we need a
happy,
closed session, we'll do it.
and then if we
notice
need
of
it, we can add
Give a
one.
notice for closed session.
Then we can notice it properly and we can,
then we can have that conversation.
And it can be on the
With
agenda.
everyone,
Yeah, it
then
can
we
be on
can-
the agenda, and then there won't be an issue. It'll be
Okay,
done
great.
properly. Okay.
Okay, so we are going to,
Can I just clarify, because I want to know who's going to do it? Is it Ken? Are you writing the letter to Jim Zepp?
I am not writing the letter to Jim Zepp. It is noted in the minutes that were passed that request. I would say that the minutes should be forwarded. If you'd like me to forward them to Jim Zepp, if the board would like that, I will do that.
Where will be the request if you're just forwarding the minutes? How will he know?
I could bring it to his attention.
Thank you.
Is that okay by the board?
fine with me.
Just didn't want it to get lost.
And
Sorry, just to
just to
also
make it easier,
clarify.
let's put on the next meeting agenda a closed session, just so there'll be notice. Is that a question of personnel, a question of litigation, or possible litigation?
I would assume it's possible litigation
All
at
right,
this point.
so that's so noted, it'll be possible litigation. Okay,
That having been said, we have members of the public who are still patiently waiting. So we are going to open to the public for items that are not on the agenda.
Hey guys, bear with me. So members of the board, professional staff.
Just your name.
Oh, Rob Otto, Sparta. I've had some time to look at the chapter 18 code. And I know you guys are looking at September for master plan. I'm not part of that. But it's led me to a question I just want to pose, get you guys thinking about it, and it's gonna probably be subject further discussion. Why are we still relying so heavily on use labels instead of performance metrics? Right now, we spend an incredible amount of time debating whether a project is a warehouse, light industrial, but as we've seen, it's a shell game. Labels are subjective, easily interpreted. My question is, why aren't we measuring what the buildings actually do? So, just broadly, does anyone in New Jersey, the Highlands region, use a strictly quantitative performance model? Seems to me with Germany Flats, Aquifer, with our natural resources, structural capacity of our roads, the AASHTO, ESAL limits, those are objective realities that we should be able to look at. So wouldn't it make sense to shift the burden of proof to the applicant to show their maximum operational potential against hard numbers? Is it a legal hurdle, lack of data, or just it's the way we've always done things? So for the professionals, I have kind of quick questions for each of you. So the attorney, from a litigation standpoint, in a defense against a prerogative writ, I would imagine that it would be useful to have quantitative numbers just to throw back at the applicant. So why don't we see more towns utilizing, say, the New Jersey Green Amendment as a hook to create rational nexus between a project's intensity and our resource limits? Is there a reason that we're not using this constitutional shield to defend our water? To the board engineer, on technical side, and I'm new to this, but the NJ Real 2026 standards and AASHTO roadware models are available. Why don't we make these mandatory first line metrics for every application? What's stopping us from requiring a 2,500 foot well interference model or drawdown as a baseline requirement for anyone seeking to utilize groundwater resources? And then to our board planner, why don't we move away from estimated benefits and require a hard 1.5 to 1 fiscal ratio for any project over a certain intensity? Is it a matter of like expertise or just the data that's just not being demanded? So I'm just in closing wondering if we're missing an opportunity here. You know, redoing the master plan, things have always been done kind of with a use-based thing, but it seems like then we get to metrics, we get to heights of things, and we get to small businesses that can't open because that use isn't contemplated. But really, I think the high-level spirit of it is intensity. So are we missing an opportunity for objective certainty? What are the barriers to moving for more of a metric-driven carrying capacity model for Sparta? Let's see. So
I could just quickly, because it's getting a little late, Rob, but
Yep.
the applicant always has the burden of proof. We are the planning board, so we are permitted use. The non-permitted use goes to the Board of Adjustment. We have a simple majority vote, 5 out of 9, because it is a permitted use. And again, the applicant's burden of proof, we can use other matrix such as your aquifers and the like, or your lack of sewer or lack of other public health, safety, welfare issues as prohibitions or as conditions. Our standard is arbitrary and capricious, that the board just can't act arbitrary and capricious. If an applicant is dissatisfied or a public member is dissatisfied, they file what's called a prerogative writ, which is a non-jury trial. The prerogative writ is handled at the county of which the board is located, so here, Sussex County, and the judge would rule whether the board had acted arbitrary and capricious, which is a pretty high standard for the applicant to win. So it's, I think the law is fair. The issues you brought up are very good, and they are issues that I do think the engineer and the planner does bring into play. But thank you for identifying those areas that hopefully can be clarified in the master plan. Go ahead.
Yeah, just to add on to that, when you are writing ordinances, obviously I did not write Sparta's ordinances, but when you are writing ordinances, you're thinking about the uses and how they will affect the other uses in the area, the adjacent use properties, as well as other uses within that zone. So you'll see, definitions that describe different types of warehouses that are permitted, and it's because they're considering the types of vehicles that are accessing the sites. And this is actually something we have spoke about at the subcommittee, where we've thought about what types of trucks, and talking to Brian as well, the traffic engineer, about which types of trucks are appropriate for which roads and in which areas, and considering kind of what uses then that entails would be appropriate. So these are things that we are contemplating within the master plan that we're drafting at the time.
Okay.
And last but not least, couple things. Number one, as far as evaluating traffic and what have you, we do always reference the Institute of Traffic Engineers, trip generation factors and what have you, which are quantitative numbers based on a number of studies that have been done for different types of uses. So we basically rely on that data. And when Brian is the traffic engineer for the board, contemplates a report, he'll utilize those figures, as will the engineer, the traffic engineer for an applicant. And with regards to water withdrawal, there are certain state laws that are set up. If a development is going to utilize 100,000 gallons of water a day or more, they have to apply to the New Jersey DEP for what's known as a water allocation permit. And as part of that water allocation permit, the DEP will require certain hydrogeological studies to show the impact, not only in the development itself, but on adjacent properties. And from some of the water allocation permits that I've seen issued over the years, a lot of times the DEP will put a specific condition in there that if it's proven that the particular development has a negative impact on an adjoining well, then they'll be subject to having to rectify that situation. So there are some existing quantifiable safeguards in place now.
So those safeguards presumably use state models and thresholds, and all I'm simply asking, just to clarify for anyone who didn't understand what I threw out there, there are metrics that we could define uses. Uses seem to be like a whack-a-mole type thing. Uses evolve over time. And I mean, we've seen what's a gym, what's a boutique gym, small, medium, large, good, better, best. Things change. So I'm simply saying, what if we looked high level and said, in village areas, we're not seeking to prohibit, say, a small exercise studio. Maybe a Planet Fitness isn't the best fit for that area. So if you had size restrictions, intensity restrictions, and kept it high level without even saying it's for a gym, because ultimately it doesn't matter. If you have your restricted uses defined, then any other use should be available. And then as far as what you're saying about 100,000 gallon, is that per day drawdown, Dave? So I would just simply say, we're in the Highlands. I think the Highlands might have further restrictions. And so the question, and I think I know the answer, is that Sparta could decide that they want to implement restrictions on top of existing state thresholds, if they so chose, right? Would that be fair?
Rob, you just have to be careful that there's something called inverse condemnation, which is when a government goes too far and takes away the reasonable uses of the property.
Yeah, taking.
So, taking, exactly.
But there's
So
the-
think of it as yourself. It's your property.
Oh, yeah.
And government tells you, you can't do something. So there has to be give and take where,
No, it's a balance.
Yes.
Right. So I get that, and I don't need to belabor this, but we're on the same page. It's a balance. It's not a conversation about being anti-business, anti-development. It's simply smart development in balance with finite resources is all I'm saying. Maybe it's worth taking a look. Because I think that there's the common, I don't know what it is, but the common good, or when we health, safety, and welfare, our finite water resources. One, I don't know, I'm not a lawyer, but could you perhaps say that an applicant might be, there might be a taking from an applicant who, I don't know, is drawing down the well significantly, the wellhead, if they're.
I think very interesting topic.
But we can-
you know,
yeah, I just wanna put it out
you
there.
got Single-family home, one thing, data center, another thing. So good topic. Good
Yep,
topic.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
But to Rob's point, we do have some things that have standards in there for square footage, and maybe there are other things that we, as we're doing the master plan, need to take a look at square footage and what is appropriate for the sites.
I mean, and to your point, I mean, at any point, the planning board can make a suggestion in terms of what, you know, is, we deem reasonable and, you know, in any given area. At the end of the day, it comes down to, is the council going to amend an ordinance to be in alignment with what it is that we say? Now, master plan is the best
Yeah.
chance that we have of that happening, which is one of the reasons why I've been pushing for it for as long as I have. Because we've tried to make piecemeal change. We've gotten shot down. So we're in a position now where, you know, we're about to get the football over the goal, and, you know, God willing, at this point, we can really get some good ordinances to give it some teeth. So I think that that's, you know, to Rob's point, we're in a good position to be able to kind of really fine tune some of those areas and find that balance that everybody's looking for.
Yeah.
And if I can, I just want to commend Rob, and I know, Madam Chairman, you'd agree with this, you know, we look for the public, if you got different thoughts, different ideas, bring them forward.
Oh, yeah.
And he, you know, we start at 7 o'clock, it's 9:45, and, you know, so, you know, thank you for doing that.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
And
It's nice
Rob,
to hear
your
someone
points-
thinking outside of the box.
To me, your
as well.
point's well taken on, you know, as you said, we try and identify what's allowed, we identify what's not allowed, and then something new comes in, you know, and yeah, maybe there is a better way of trying to put a phrase in there, you know, like, or similar kind of thing, you know, but it's hard, you know, because, and, you know, as you know from sitting up here as well, I mean, you still have to define, you know, and that's where it get, you know, and that's why I say, you know, we always got to kind of stay ahead of the trends when we're looking at our stuff, you know, so, you know, nobody foresaw warehouses 10 years ago, you know, these giant warehouses, you know, and everyone got kind of caught with that, so, you know, and that's the new thing. Who knows what the next new thing is? I think that's your point.
Yeah, and the other thing that we need to be mindful of is that if there is change, it's got to be a unilateral change, right? It's got to hit every ordinance that is relative to that change, right? That's part of the problem, is that we've got so many ordinances now that have been amended over the years that if you look in one zone, it's this, if you look in another zone, it's that. And those things may be logical, but we've changed the language in this, but didn't change the language anywhere else, so now the definitions are off.
Well, that's
So,
what happened with fitness centers.
Right.
And, you know, to Rob's point, it's intensity because.
Exactly.
You know, you're saying no fitness, there's nothing in there for fitness centers in the TCC zone, and yet they're low intensity. And we've asked town council to do that, and they've completely ignored
well,
us.
exactly, and that's why I said we've tried to do this piecemeal on multiple occasions, and we've gotten shot down. So, you know, master plan is best and highest use, I think, of us actually being able to affect some real change.
And there's the one thing Judge Minkowitz said, I keep going back to this all the time because Ron sat there and couples in the trial for the vet hospital, and he kept saying, forget the labels. What's the intensity? Labels mean nothing. What's the intensity? That's going to help you to define it. So as we go through the master plan, that's kind of what we have to be thinking of.
Okay, thanks again, and Ernie, you're on.
Make a motion to adjourn.
We need a
I'll
second.
second.
A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Come on, Bill. Any opposed? I don't think so. Ooh,